Okay, what up ladies and gents, it's your favorite Asian robot right here, hopefully your favorite Darktide YouTuber, and the Walk, the People's Champion, is here to talk about patch 15. There are major nerfs in this patch that you guys need to know about, and I'm just going to go through all of them with you. So, let's talk about it. First and foremost, Traitor's Curse, part 1 just dropped, and, you know, we actually got more than we bargained for. We got the new mission, the new area, but no new boss. Okay, so there's no new boss. It is a simple mission, but it is in the new zone, so it's pretty interesting, quite fun. It's got some unique mechanics, but you know, the end bit is just basically hold out and survive, which is really nice. The veteran rework also came in, and honest to God, I am not sure how to feel about it. I did not like it at all. These are my personal thoughts. Some may disagree, some may even find the rework nice, but basically I've seen every single veteran struggle with it in our randomized runs tonight. And I myself found it clunkier to apply consistently compared to the veterans from before. I don't know why they felt the veterans needed this fix, but because they did not compress the trees, okay, my worst fears came true. I had mentioned in my rant on stream the first time I talked about this that the veteran trees may not be compressed and the keystones were added at the bottom, forcing ability choices. That's exactly what happened. We now have forced ability choices, which I'll show you guys later, and several things in the tree also got nerfed without even being discussed in the patch notes. Let's first take a look at the patch notes. Let me go through it with you quickly. In terms of the veteran tree, they added marksman focus, focus target, and weapon specialist. You can read these here for yourself. You can now inspect players in the hub and in the lobby. Again, you can watch these videos for yourself. The link to this post is in the description of this video. You can check it out. Penances have mostly been fixed. If you go through this list and you do not see one of your bug penances here, let Fat Shark know on the forums, okay? The group buff icon settings, so your buff icons down the bottom have been reordered so that they're a lot easier to keep track of. Going from the left-hand side, you will see that the generic buff icon, which is your team coherency, is on the leftmost side. Your talents are in between, and your blessings are at the end. They've also been given like slightly different colorations so you can see what's triggering. I have found that it makes it a lot easier for me to keep track of my buffs if I do need to check, but after a while it becomes instinctive, so either way it's just good for organization, okay? Now, in terms of bug fixes and tweaks, they've stated that the Ogrins have fixed an issue where the light 'em up talent would trigger multiple times on the same shot. Now it doesn't happen anymore. They fixed an issue with Furious triggering on all melee attacks, not the heavies. Psyker, the Assail has been nerfed. The base cooldown went from 2 seconds to 3 seconds. And basically, you will get your shards back a lot slower than before. You will actually feel the impact of this in the matches. But what I will say is that the best way to deal with this is to use the slower throwing style, which I've taught people. 1-2 long cast, 1-2 long cast. I'll happily demonstrate over the next few days, so no problems there. Damage wise, there's been no nerf, so it's okay. However, the Warp Rider talent, which previously was bugged, this is a sort of unintentional nerf. Why? Because Warp Rider basically gave us 10% base damage. It featured in all of my builds because it was so good. Even at 0% peril, it was giving you 10% base damage. Therefore, Psychers were always dealing 10% more damage. Now, you start at 0% damage with 0% peril, and it works its way up to 20% at the end. So you're going to have to learn to edge your staffs and your casts a little bit. So Psychers have to play a bit more dangerously to get the full value of Warp Rider, but honestly, it's not too big of a change. Once you adjust your playstyle, it's not going to be a problem. Brain Rupture had an inconsistent cast time. It was also a bug while under Kinetic Resonance. This has been fixed. They fixed the issue that peril generated through Kinetic Deflection didn't synergize with Warp Expenditure. They fixed an issue where specific types of enemies failed to be correctly highlighted by Disrupt Destiny. This has now been fixed, so Gunpsychers might find a little bit of a visual... Like, they might find a little bit of a visual buff, so they'll always see somebody highlighted, which is good. Veteran, they fixed an issue where tactical awareness didn't trigger consistently. Exhilarating takedown is still bugged, by the way. Grenade Tinkerer apparently made the player stun immune. Enhanced target priority did not have an effect for all players. Onslaught applied more stacks of brilliance than intended. This is now corrected. And this is a nerf. Duty and honor, instead of 100 toughness, you now go down to 50. You cannot fully deflect a poxburst or explosion with this anymore. All right, so be careful. You still potentially will take some damage. There are other nerfs in the veteran tree, which is not stated here. This is mostly talking about bug fixes, but I'll talk about the other nerfs later. For the Zealot, Chorus of Spiritual Fortitude has been changed so that it will now stagger bosses on the first pulse and every other pulse after that instead of just on the first and last pulse. So basically, you can now stagger lock bosses once again, which is really good. So Zealots received a buff. They fixed some issues for the Zealot in terms of disdain. The buff icon was not showing correctly. 2 toughness boost operative modifiers didn't stack properly. They've changed the max stacks for Zealot Martyrdom to 7, down from 9 to correctly reflect the max number of wounds. They fixed the issue with Restoring Faith buff icons showing up at times when it wasn't active. They fixed that Pious Cutthroat didn't trigger properly. Fortitude and Fellowship didn't work properly. And Chorus of Spiritual Fortitude, you will no longer get stuck in the animation with no effect. Alright? In terms of blessings, the Surge Staff bug has been completely fixed. So... Sorry, I know the background is on. My apologies for that. It's just that I want to swiftly transition to the game after we're done with this. But basically, the Surge Force Staff, you can no longer abuse the bug. That came with patch 14. And Powered Psionics will no longer up your Surge Staff damage. So if you're using that bug build, it's no longer valid. They have fixed an issue for aiming the trajectory of the underhand grenade throw. They have fixed the shotgun weapon special reload because it wasn't affected by any of the reload speed talents. But do be careful of this because it may consume your reload speed talent. I haven't tested it right now, but this may happen. They said they fixed an issue with attached projectiles like the crack grenade, but honestly, it's attaching even worse than ever, so I don't know. That was just my experience. I'll test it in more detail over the next few days. They fixed an issue causing weapon temperature effects to not persist after wielding another weapon, and they fixed the stub revolvers showed melee critical chance instead of range critical chance in the detailed stat inspection view. This was under the critical bonus stat. It should also be applied to the Surge Staff, but I'll go and check whether they fixed that wording another day. They fixed an issue related to Thrust and Chastise the Wicked. The Assault Chainsaw didn't have the correct damage icons and stat pages, and they updated Light Attack 4 to show this. They fixed the chain time from wielding and shooting to prevent macro abuse for the Heavy Last Pistol. Those of y'all macro abusing, hey. Okay. They fixed several issues where melee attacks had the wrong attack strength. They fixed some issues with Skull Crusher and Thunderstrike. They fixed some issues with the Heavy Stubber. Now the Heavy Stubber, they decreased the fire time for the first shot from 0.22 seconds to 0 seconds. So Ogryn should be able to shoot this straight away now. Let me know if that is how it works. They increased the speed of the Heavy 2 on the Latrine Shovel by 20%. Okay, for the Latrine Shovel, they've adjusted Relentless and Strike Down armor mods on heavy attacks to make the Strike Down deal more damage to unyielding targets as intended. They... Grenadier Gauntlet... I totally messed it up. Grenadier Gauntlet, alright. They've removed Finesse Multiplier that caused very high headshot damage. Reduced light and heavy attacks slightly. So, Ogryns, take note of this. Kickback, they fixed an issue where it was possible to shoot without consuming ammo. I didn't even know that thing was a bug. Well, I didn't even know it existed. I don't play Ogryn. And for the Stub Revolver, they added a missing chain to melee weapon special from reload action. They added a missing chain actions to reload and weapon special actions during the wield action. Okay, interesting. Enemies, they fixed some various things about it. None of this is really truly important. However, one thing is crucial. They've reduced the bleed unyielding armor damage modifier from 1.0 to 0.75. This means that you'll be killing Bulwarks and Reapers a little bit slower with the knife builds. However, those knife builds that are relying on Mercy Killer rather than full bleed, yeah, yours will not change too much, but do take note that bleed modifiers have dropped. Okay, so you won't be able to bleed the Ogryn's enemies to death just as easily. Other than that... Oh, they've reduced explosion damage on monstrosities. So your crack grenades are no longer as effective on monstrosities. Yeah, take note of that. And they've also increased the rate in which Conflict Director ramps up difficulty on higher difficulties, mainly on Maelstrom missions. However, Auric Damnation is also affected. You may notice that Damnation got a lot harder. Yeah. So things will no longer be a walk in the park. A cakewalk no longer exists. They've added color grading according to mission difficulty levels, so this is a fun new thing. They've fixed some exploits here. You can read all of them if you want. However, there is one important thing that is very, very important in all of this. They have lowered health station charges on non-event health stations. What does this mean? It means that in Damnation runs, the Medicaid that you see popping up that is not for those event with 4 charges, yeah, they're going to be a lot less. You're going to see 1 charge, maybe 2 charges if you're lucky. So conserving health is very important. This coupled with the higher spawns mean that those players that were sort of borderline skilled and you could sort of carry them to the finish line, they're not really going to make it in Auric Damnation anymore. So they're going to have to really learn to up their skills or die. Just saying. Just saying. Auric Damnation got a lot harder, so please be careful of this if you're queuing into this. Warm up in your Damnation first, get used to it, and then start hitting your Auric Damnations, okay? Other than that, cosmetic fixes, let's not worry too much about that. You can check it out if you really want to. HUD and UI, you can check it out if you want to. If there's anything important here, let us know. But if you've been banned from the game, you will now receive a proper ban message to let you know that you've been banned. Okay? Other than that, there shouldn't be anything too important. There are some new voiceover lines, and you can actually hear Brahms in the new mission, which is pretty cool. Nothing else. Oh, and they've reduced the frequency of assail shards being equipped. So you won't hear targeting, tracking anymore, right? Well, not as frequently anyway. Also, they've removed slide as a bindable input. It did not function the way it was supposed to. They have fixed a bug where cinematic was playing and the player couldn't skip it. They've done some other stuff here, but basically one thing that you're going to have to be very aware of is that, well, let me show you. It'll be easier if I show you. So in terms of the actual game, when you go into your options, go into your video settings, what you'll now have to do is, if you are having problems, make sure that you adjust all of these settings, because your frame rate will be set to 40 default. I don't know why. I set it back to 60. You can keep the rest of your stuff on. Ray tracing should always be off. Graphical presets should be where you left them before. If you don't have any lag or FPS drops, you can up your graphics settings back to where it was, but just make sure that you set your frames back to 60, because this just happened. Okay, now let's actually get into the meat of this. So you guys have seen most of the patch notes stuff. If you really want to read it in depth, you can go there. I've gone through the most important stuff. However, here is what is important. For the veteran, there have been several nerfs that are not discussed in the patch notes. First of all, they have redone the skill tree, except that the skill tree is just as long as it was before, meaning that you now have even less points to play around with, and the keystones were added at the end, literally forcing you to take abilities. Alright, that some of us did not even use because they were not very necessary. Okay? Those people who love to take your marksman ability, remember the 50% bonus? Nah, gone. Now it's only 20% bonus, and it's a forced choice if you want to get marksman focus, so good on that. The most important and obvious nerf is this: confirm kill. Confirm kill has been moved to the top of the tree, so you can always take it. Yippee-ki-yay, right? Wrong. Now confirm kill only replenishes 10% toughness on elite or specialist enemy kill, down from 25, and it replenishes a further 20% toughness over 10 seconds, down from 25. This was not in the patch notes. Don't know why. Nerfed. Okay, there you go. Next, long shot is the same. So they've added an extra node here so you can have your choice of grenades, but this is costing you an extra point to pick your grenade. I like the way we had it before. I would rather have been forced to take frag grenades than this, but now no. There's an extra, two added nodes actually, because there's this node here, which is a stat node that you'd be forced to take if you went down this tree anyway. And then there's another random node here, and then this. Why didn't they just go from all of these to like grenade choice? You know what? They needed a connector. Sorry, that's silly of me. But regardless, this is bad. So now you're 2 extra points out before picking your grenade. After picking your grenade, the auras are still in the same situation as before, when they could have just made one node here with like a whole bunch of passives combined, which would have been great for us considering how inefficient our trees are. The tree is worse than ever, okay? So that is an indirect nerf again. So now let's say you go for survivalist. Okay, fine. You take survivalist. You grab. Now they've shifted this so that twin blast, field improvisation, and demolition stockpile are all in the same tree. Again, this doesn't help me, but whatever. Okay, so I grab this, I grab that, I go voice command here, come down, and then this is where it gets wonky. So the middle tree, let's say you want to go with focus target. Okay, now you can take all the 3 passives together with focus target, although you may have to skimp off a couple of things like focus fire, increasing the max stacks to 8 for an additional 12% damage. If you don't need this, I would say sacrifice this, get the other points. Redirect fire and target down are pretty good for replenishing toughness and all that stuff. But basically, superiority complex has been moved here. It's very deep in the left tree, so you're not going to have enough points for it. 15% base damage remains. Bring it down is now apparently down from 25. I forgot what it was because I never looked at it. I just kept taking it every single time. So I thought it was always 20%, but apparently it went from 25 down to 20%. So this is now down here, and your other choice is competitive urge. So you're literally forced to take it. No other choice here. You're literally forced to take born leader and to get to tactical awareness, and you're forced to take inspiring presence, where previously it was a choice down the bottom of the tree that we could totally ignore if we didn't want reddening strikes. But now in order to get to this, you have to take Born Leader and inspiring presence to even go down the tree to Iron Will. So yeah, and you're also forced to take For the Emperor, which I don't mind too much, but For the Emperor only lasts for 5 seconds, not really that great. I mean, you can use it if you want. It gives a slight boost to the team in combat situations, but more or less, it's not very useful. Alright, and you're still forced to take this node here before you even get to the keystone. So yeah, the trees are very, very point inefficient. They are very costly and expensive. So I expected the trees to be crunched. I expected some passives to be rolled into each other so that veterans could be just as strong as they were before while getting the keystones as an addition. Now the keystones are more like, here's some force choices at the very end of the tree that you have to wade through all the bullshit to get. And yeah, now you've got less build variety. So if you're going to take this, then you're kind of forced to take this pathway specifically. There are not enough points to go around. And this is why, number one, this is not a good choice. Number two, when exhilarating takedown still hasn't been fixed apparently, so that's pretty bad. What else can I say? Deadshot is here, which is fine, and then suppression immunity is here. Always prepared is here, so you could pick it up. You can pick up precision strikes fairly early, which is good. Always prepared fairly early, but superiority complex is deep in the left tree. So unless you're going to sacrifice your focus target, you are not going to get superiority complex. So if you don't like focus target at all and you feel you don't need it, I would say sacri all the points here. All right, just grab bring it down, reddening strikes, sacri the points here, and just go down this side instead. Grab determine, always prepared, stamina regeneration, toughness reductions. You can, you know, world's your oyster. You can do whatever you want with this. It's up to you how you want to make it work, but this is how I would make it work. To be fair, how much does focus target give you? Focus target will allow you to tag any target, giving them about 20% additional damage, and then your focus target stacks reset to 1. This has the additional benefit of giving your teammates, if an enemy you've tagged dies, you can grant 1.5% extra damage for each stack of focus target applied. Assuming it's unbuffed, it's not buffed to 8 stacks, this ends up being 5 times 1.5, which will equal 7.5% extra damage for each stack of focus target applied. It only takes 8 seconds to stack up to max stacks, just so you know. Why is that the case? Because they've nerfed this down weirdly. So instead of every 3 seconds stacking up to 6 times for 5% damage, it's now 4% damage stacking every 2 seconds up to 5 times. So they nerfed this before it even came out. So yeah, that was weird. Basically, if you want more out of this build, what I would say is probably drop this, grab suppression immunity. I don't know, I might just completely drop this entirely, because why don't I just get more ammo? And, you know, rather than having 4%, which I have to tag and then buff people for, I may as well take superiority complex and all of this stuff that comes with it. Like, to me, that just makes sense. You know, I wouldn't have it any other way. But that's pretty much how it goes. I'm honestly not too happy with how everything was designed, because it just feels really weird and really clunky. So they put together a really weird veteran tree right here. I'll be testing the builds in great detail, but the nerfs are pretty rough overall. Let me know what you think of these veteran tree nerfs, and I hope I've managed to go through it in sufficient detail to help you guys out. I'm very happy with the new map. I really do like it, but I am not a fan of the tree and the way it was constructed. So I think veterans came out really short-handed on this one. Some folks, I talked about this on stream, but some folks, although they say that this will add more challenge to the game, I think it's just going to make people frustrated, but that's just my take on it. I could be wrong. I hope to God I'm wrong. I'm a pessimist. I'm always pessimistic about these kinds of things. But in general, I hate when nerfs happen in PvE games, because quite frankly, that should not be the case. But let me know what you think. I want to know your experience with the veteran after this. Have you been able to make a build that's working and functioning in Auric Damnation that makes you feel like a champ? Or are you struggling? Because I may just drop the keystones entirely and just not take one. Like, they're cool, but they're not that cool that I'm going to give up everything for them. So, yeah, that's a thought of mine. But anyway, let me know what you guys think. Thank you so much for watching this video. I know it is a bit a bit long, but I hope you guys will still enjoy. Thank you very much. Oh, that's right. Sorry. Before I go. Sorry. Forgot to mention this. This is very, very crucial. Focus target. Yes, I must show you this. Sorry, I was about to end the video, but this is very, very important to say. Okay, so for those of you using tag on your primary fire button, you cannot do that anymore. Why you cannot do that anymore? It's because you will spam your teammates a lot. Unlike in the past, where this did not happen if you did not take focus target, this will now spam your teammates. I'm so sorry I forgot to demonstrate this. I was so caught up with how bad the tree feels that I didn't explain this, but now this is crucial information. Again, my sincerest apologies. It's 3 a.m. when I'm filming this. I am absolutely shredded. I am tired as hell, but I wanted to get this video out for you guys immediately. Okay, first and foremost, if you bind your tag to your primary fire like we normally do, assuming that we don't take the focus fire talent, so we're just going to quickly remove that, right? Okay, normally you would tag a target like this, and you cannot spam by repeatedly doing that, right? It'll tag a target, and this is why it is impossible to spam targets unless people are using a macro. That's why when people said that if you... Now, I just want to show you guys proof of this. When you have your primary fire bound to the same tag button, unless you change targets, it will not spam your teammates. It'll tag just one, and then you kill it. This was how it used to be used in the past. All right? This is how we did it in the past. Now, if you were to add this talent... Okay, because you can... The talent is applying stacks to the enemy. Now, I need somebody with a mod to confirm this. If I just keep spamming it, will it max out the stacks on a target? I just want to know that. But even if I apply 5 stacks to a target and I try and shoot again, it'll just tag again. So this can result in unintentional spam. See? Like that. So yeah, if you're using that, you cannot put it on your primary fire. One recommendation which I received from chat is to put it on shift. This way, anytime I see a target I want to kill, I just tag with shift. All right, like that. It's not a perfect solution. You can use the aim button as well, but I find the aim button a lot harder, and honest to God, shift has been the best solution for my poor veteran. But yes, it is not a great solution. So those of you who get annoyed by this are probably gonna struggle a little bit. I hope that they change the tagging so that it works the same as it did before. But yeah, just be aware of that you may unintentionally spam your team like this, and it's very annoying to hear in the field, okay? So you cannot bind your tag to primary fire anymore. Thank you very much for watching this video. Again, sorry about its length. Sorry about the stumbles and everything. Like I said, I just wanted to get it done out to you guys so you guys know what you're dealing with. Thank you very much for paying attention to this video. I appreciate you all. Normally, I do thank yous for everybody, but I'm just going to thank everybody because it's so late at night. Thank you, everybody. You guys have been such a wonderful audience. We had one of our record streams. I just wish it came with better news. All right. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you guys on the next one. And we'll be thoroughly testing the veteran over the next few days. I know I promised to bleed crit zealot soon, but I'll have to delay that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to thoroughly test the zealot veteran over the next few days and then try to get something out for you guys ASAP. Thank you very much. I'll see you on the next one. Y'all have a good one. Later.